Brad, before we kind of fully dive into the card, every Tuesday we take a look at some letdown spots or potential letdown spots. Not that they're automatic bets. I just like to talk them out. So I want to bring up a couple games to you and get your thoughts. And we'll start with Oklahoma State. It's a clear letdown spot, right? They beat Oklahoma. They rip down the goalpost. They throw it into the pond. That said, UCF has an issue stopping the run, and Oklahoma State just wants to run. So Pokes are laying 2.5. Can we buy into the letdown spot here, or is it too big of a mismatch up front?
No, it's one of my top 10 favorite bets of the week. I like UCF here.
Okay.
It's just not a letdown spot. It's also kind of a sell high. I mean, Oklahoma State's covered 5 straight by 2 touchdowns per game. Central Florida, I mean, if you dive into the stats, better than their record. So I hate using the do factor, but, Central Florida probably due for an outright win. I mean, they almost got there against Oklahoma just a couple weeks ago. They broke through, didn't cover last week, but did beat Cincinnati. I like Central Florida outright here.
So what do we do with a team like, is Clemson in a letdown after beating Notre Dame? I was actually, somewhat in jest, but in somewhat seriousness, making the argument that they should be up because they still need to win a 6th game for bowl eligibility. But what do you make of a team like Clemson?
Actually, my numbers like them this week. I mean, keep in mind, Clemson's better than their 5-4 record. I mean, all 4 of their losses, they outgained their opponent. So it was just a shame last week. You talk about a missed opportunity for a really big bet, was that injury report on game day. It wasn't good, and he still came through against the Irish. We're clearly the right side there. So, no, I think they get a rejuvenated stretch run here. At least I think so. Shipley's back for them. I like Clemson in this game.
Couple other games that I just noted, Brad, we didn't get to, so I'm curious. We'll just kind of ping-pong them. You got Texas laying 10 off of the overtime win against Kansas State on the road at TCU. And then I do think sometimes letdown factors happen to teams that lose. So let's look at Texas-Kansas State. Kansas State loses that game. They're laying 20.5. Texas wins the game. They're laying 10. Either one of those interest you this week?
Lean TCU, didn't get to the window. I thought the sharp play was taking the hooks out. That's one bet I didn't get to that other people got to before me. So I think that's the right side there. It's not one of my favorite plays of the week because, TCU's quarterback play in general has not been good at all this year, but certainly lean that way. And then the other game, no, I would lay it with Kansas State. Okay. Baylor is that bad this year. They are atrocious.
Brad, I'm a glutton, and I'm a glutton for punishment. And this last weekend, I watched Caleb Williams, after losing me some money, sob in his mother's arms. Now they go on the road to take on Oregon.
Well, don't forget, he also wanted to cuddle with his dog after the game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, we make fun of these guys. We talk a lot about them not caring. He clearly cares, so that's a good thing.
I'm pro-cuddling dogs. I'm pro-cuddling dogs.
So what do we do? I was going to say I'm more of a fish guy, but you can't cuddle fish. All right, so what do we do with them? Because I'm having a really tough time not actually taking 14.5 with USC. I feel like you were catching 3 at home against a similarly rated Washington team. Now you're going on the road and catching 14.5 against Oregon. Something doesn't compute there.
So we're not cuddling the underdog here. And I'll push back on a similarly power-rated team. I would have Oregon a touchdown better than Washington right now on a neutral. I know Washington beat Oregon. I'm just telling you the last 3-4 weeks since that game, and I thought Oregon probably should have beaten Washington on the road, period. I like the Ducks, and I think season for SC is over. I know the DC, maybe you get a 1-game bump with Grinch gone. I don't see it. Oregon in a blowout here.
We're talking to Brad Powers at BradPowers7 on Twitter. We just saw the rankings revealed, and 13th is Tennessee, 14th is Missouri. I don't necessarily – I put it on the look-ahead spots because next week Tennessee does host Georgia, quite the big opportunity. Or they go to Georgia. I think they go to Georgia. So it's a huge opportunity for the Vols. Missouri coming off of the loss to Georgia. Do you get that, body blow theory when you play a team like Georgia? What do you make of Tennessee, Mizzou? Right now, Tennessee laying 1 on the road against the Tigers.
Yeah, I didn't bet it. Didn't see much value. Was interested in possibly the over here, but I came a little higher than what I wanted as far as my buy price. I think it's just a good data point for both teams. We're going to find out a lot about both. Missouri actually impressed me quite a bit last week against Georgia on the road in that type of atmosphere to really handle handle themselves as well as they did. That did impress me, but we'll see. Tennessee, offense has been a disappointment this year, but defense has carried their weight. Fair price.
You mentioned selling high with Okie State. Are we doing that with Arizona, which is a 10.5-point favorite against Colorado on the road?
No. And we keep playing on the fighting Jetfishes here. The only question I have, will somebody play some prevent defense against this Colorado team, for Pete's sake? I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, this Colorado team has been dominated each of the last 2 weeks, but somehow they've gotten their backers home. I think Arizona controls matters and then some here. Do not like the changes that Colorado made on offense, to say the least. I like Arizona.
Oh, but they were so effective last night.
Pat Shermer turned things around. Hey, they covered against Oregon State.
They were effective on the last 2 drives. When it mattered, when the money mattered, it was effective somehow.
So Oregon State, it was announced this week, they will be hosting Washington ABC primetime Corvallis next week. They're laying 21 against Stanford, a Stanford team that it's feisty. They're 3-6. They just beat Wazoo as a 15.5 point dog. Troy Taylor's squad catching 21. I'm intrigued by the dog here. Talk me on or off Stanford in this one.
No, if I had to bet it, that would be that would be easily the bet there. I can't believe I bet a Stanford under 3.5 win total, and I got to sweat this sucker out down the stretch. It just amazes me how many of those bets I have that I thought were safe, like 65, 70% type plays, because I think they closed at 2.5.
Yep.
As far as the win total. But Troy Taylor's been doing a great job here. Too many points to lay. Oregon State's having trouble getting margin here. They are a better team at home than they are on the road, but 21's too many.
All roads lead back to Colorado. Thanks a lot, Colorado. Blowing 29-0 lead at halftime with that Stanford win total. All right, let's go to just this question. Tyler Van Dyke doesn't play. Is that an upgrade or a downgrade? What do you do with Miami?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think it should move the needle at all. I mean, he's been far less than 100%, so I don't think it really – I mean, when you look at the performance of Miami against Clemson, they were able to win without him. And then you look at their performance with them last week against NC State, I don't think there's much difference. If anything, might be a slight upgrade, half point, nothing that should be moving the market too much.
Before we get to where College Game Day, I believe, is headed today, or they might be headed somewhere else. I think big noon kickoff is Michigan and Penn State. Before we get to that game, Brad, right now as you look at the board, and I know you'll be giving out your favorite play on the podcast tomorrow, but what intrigues you right now as the board sits on a Tuesday evening?
Well, I'll do this for the Vegas people watching, because there's 4 or 5 spots in town in Vegas that you can make this bet right now. It's a really good bet. Arkansas, let's lay the 2.5 here. I would still lean certainly their way at 3, but obviously it's a key number. I like the changes. I like the reset with the new offense coordinator. First data point was really good, an outright upset win against Florida. I'm not buying into Auburn just because they won their last 2 games against the 2 worst teams in the SEC. Give me the Razorbacks. We'll lay the 2.5. There are some 3s out there as well. I still like it at 3.
Brad, real quick with those changes, are they an overplay going forward too, or is that just a symptom of playing Florida?
Nope, they're an overplay. I played the over in this game too, although Auburn leaves a little bit to be desired as far as betting overs in their games.
All right, let's wrap on this, Brad. Michigan, Penn State. I said it earlier, as much as I love playing home dogs, I can't trust Penn State. I just saw a 4 pop, so looks like money's coming in on the Nittany Lions. What do your numbers say about Michigan, Penn State?
Yeah, I bet Penn State, believe it or not. I mean, it's not one of my favorite plays of the week, but yeah, I do like it. And anything above 4, I think, is deserving of a play here. And I'm just worried, how does Michigan handle adversity? Yep. Maybe they've been handling adversity off the field. On the field, I don't know. They get punched in the mouth back a little bit, and this is a tighter game. They haven't played one all season. I'm anxious to see how they respond. I'm going to take Penn State here, plus the 4.5.
Would you be more excited to play Penn State if this was a whiteout?
Oh, yeah, that atmosphere. Yeah. I mean, it's still going to be a great atmosphere, but that's like the old Spinal Tap, speakers to 11 type atmosphere. So, yeah, that's worth an extra half point.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.